The closing bell has rung, but the business story continues. I'm Robert Tan. You're watching Business Brief. Let's get started. Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman Panfilo Lacson says their committee recommends 3 of their colleagues to undergo preliminary investigation in connection with the flood control scandal. The Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry calls on the BSP to increase the cash transaction limit from 500,000 to 2.5 million pesos. And the Bureau of Internal Revenue reforms its auditing system to prevent corruption. Amid heightened scrutiny over public spending and flood control projects, Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chair Senator Panfilo Lacson stresses that the committee report on alleged flood control anomalies remain unchanged in substance despite recent edits. Confident of securing the required 11 signatures, Lacson says the draft report only undergoes language refinements, not revisions to its findings, to avoid misleading the public.
Halimbawa, doon sa draft na initially routed, merong word doon na charge, no? Recommended to be charged. Sa layman, pag sinabing charge, para nasa korte na. So, in-specify na lang namin na salit na instead of using the word charge, to be charged, to undergo preliminary investigation, to undergo fact-finding investigation, to undergo case build-up, yung mga ganon.
So yung tatlong senador, hindi na to be charged, but to undergo PI. PI.
Yun din naman talaga yung ibig sabihin sa ano, hindi naman namin pwedeng i-recommend sa court, na i-charge sa court, kasi only the DOJ and the Ombudsman are authorized to file the information for any person to be charged before the court, di ba? So kinorek lang namin yun.
Lacson confirms that officials named in the report, Senators Francis Escudero, Jinggoy Estrada, and Joel Villanueva, remain subject to preliminary investigation over multiple possible offenses linked to the alleged scam.
Sir, to be clear ha, undergo PI on plunder and graft. Yung tatlong senador.
Marami. Merong direct bribery, merong plunder, merong malversation, merong violation ng anti-graft, may violation ng ethical standards. Marami yun.
A major Philippines-U.S. partnership is setting the stage for a big shift in how the country capitalizes on its natural resources. The Department of Trade and Industry and the Department of Environment and Natural Resources are leveraging a strategic alliance with the United States to transform the Philippines into a high-value mineral processing hub. Despite being a global leader in nickel production, the country still exports most of its minerals unprocessed, leaving major industrial growth opportunities on the table. Under the new Memorandum of Understanding, the Philippines gains access to foreign investments, international grants, advanced technologies to modernize its mining and processing sectors, and linking local minerals to more than 50 allied nations. The move positions the Philippines not just as a raw material supplier, but as a critical player in global supply chains for semiconductors, defense, and clean energy. The government must step up investment in tourism and infrastructure. This according to the Philippine Travel Agencies Association. On Billionaire News channels at the forefront, PTAA Executive Vice President Evelyn D. Bondaji stresses that airports are often a tourist's first point of contact with the country. She says these first impressions shape how visitors see the Philippines as a travel destination.
If it's not good, bad news spread
It will
faster.
spread all over. And
That's human nature, no? If something is bad, it spreads faster than good news.
Yeah.
PTAA President Jason Ang adds that airport privatization efforts have improved overall travel experience.
Because we have our passengers, we have our own clients. So we're asking them, how do you find the new terminals? And then we receive a good feedback. So it might a little slow, but we're going there.
Yang also says it's important to weigh the pros and cons of abolishing the travel tax and other fees, noting these should be part of future interagency discussions. A business group warns that the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas' 500,000 peso cash withdrawal limit will have an adverse effect on legitimate businesses and depositors. The move was aimed at curbing illegal cash transactions linked to recent corruption scandals. On Business 360, Brian Ang, Vice President for Industry and Manufacturing at the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, said the limit restricted operations, slowed economic growth, and hurt MSMEs. He proposes that the cap be raised to 2.5 million pesos.
As you mentioned, the construction sector needs this badly. Agricultural sector, especially in the rural areas, need this.
Yeah.
500,000, not enough.
Yeah.
We have met with Secretary Go last week and informed him maybe to increase this to 2.5 million. Anyway, banks have a KYC policy when opening a deposit account.
Yeah.
And for sure, they already know what is your nature of business and what is your usual transaction amount.
He also said impeachment talks involving the country's top two officials dominated headlines and distracted from urgent economic priorities.
I hope the administration and all our elected officials focus on helping the economy. We are not in the best of shape, but we have opportunities like leading the ASEAN Summit. We will have a lot of eyeballs in our country. Let us maximize this. We have a lot of new free trade agreements being negotiated and signed by the DTI. Let us help our exporters be able to access these new markets. We also have being open to countries such as China. Let us not focus on picking fights with China, but rather follow the lead of these business leaders and Taipans.
Bank lending is losing steam, a signal that economic activity may be cooling as both consumers and businesses pull back on borrowing. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas said total loans of universal and commercial banks grew by just 9.2% year-on-year as of end December 2025. This also marks the slowest pace in 22 months and the first single-digit growth since April 2024. Outstanding loans reached over 14.3 trillion pesos, with month-on-month growth also easing. On a seasonally adjusted basis, lending even falls 2% from November. Loans for production activities, which make up more than 84% of total lending, grew by 8%, slower than previous months. Gains are driven by power and energy, trade, real estate, and financial services. Consumer loans remain strong but also show signs of cooling, with growth slowing to 21.4%. Credit card and auto loans continue to rise but at a more modest pace. Separate data show domestic liquidity, or M3 growth, slows to 7%, the weakest in 4 months, as bank lending to households and private firms moderates. Senator Ping Lacson warns BIR personnel against illegal practices during the Blue Ribbon Committee's hearing on the alleged abuse of letters of authority. Hannah T. joins us for more details. Hannah, go ahead.
Robert, Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chair Ping Lacson issued a blunt warning to Bureau of Internal Revenue personnel, urging them to think carefully before engaging in any illegal act that could land them in jail as persons deprived of liberty. Lacson delivered the reminder during the final Blue Ribbon hearing today on the alleged abuse of letters of authority, or LOAs, at the BIR. He stressed that plunder cases can carry prison terms of up to 20 years and warned that even offenses committed years ago can still surface and result in accountability once they're uncovered. As the Senate probe drew to a close, the BIR presented a series of reforms designed to prevent the misuse of LOAS admission orders. Lawmakers previously flagged alleged bribery and the repeated issuance of LOAs by some revenue district offices, practices that undermine the original purpose of LOAs as tools for proper tax collection. Data raised during the hearing showed that only about 2% of the BIR's total tax collection from the business sector comes from LOAs admission orders, while around 98% comes from voluntary tax payments. In response, the BIR said it has shifted to a system-generated process for identifying taxpayers subject to audit, which is meant to reduce human intervention and limit opportunities for abuse. The agency also launched an online LOA verification tool that allows taxpayers to check whether the LOA they received is authentic and valid. Audit assignments are now anonymized, meaning BIR officers don't know in advance which taxpayers they will audit, a safeguard aimed at preventing targeting, special treatment, or undue influence. The BIR confirmed that cases have already been filed against around 25 personnel, with more possibly facing admin and criminal liability for violating new revenue memoranda and orders. Several officials have also been reshuffled as part of the agency's internal cleanup. Lawmakers say stronger and cleaner revenue collection is critical, especially as the government faces a projected 200 billion peso revenue shortfall this year. Senators said they expect improved collection and greater transparency in how taxes are assessed and collected. Back to you, Robert.
Thank you, Hannah T, reporting from the Senate. Meanwhile, in the wake of Typhoon Bashang's destructive floods, the national government moves to fast-track damage assessment and prevent further disaster. Department of Public Works and Highways Secretary Vince Dizon is in Iligan City to inspect damaged infrastructure and critical flood control systems. The inspection follows President Marcos' directive to immediately review flood control projects in affected provinces to identify damages and speed up solutions. Secretary Dizon orders the immediate dredging of the Iligan River and assures that this year's funds are already available for the purchase of heavy equipment and the repair of vital infrastructure. As Bashang's death toll rises to 12 and more than 130,000 families affected, mud-soaked Iligan begins massive cleanup operations. The local government seeks assistance from neighboring provinces as it mobilizes relief and recovery efforts for devastated communities. Supply gets a short-term boost driven by a sharp buildup in government stocks. Data from the Philippine Statistics Authority show total rice inventory rises by 6.4% year-on-year to over 2.3 million metric tons as of January 1. The increase is largely fueled by the National Food Authority. Rice stocks in NFA warehouses jumped by 54.1% to nearly 439,000 metric tons, about 18.7% of total supply. Month on month, however, total rice stocks dropped by 13.5% from December levels. Meanwhile, corn inventories also surged annually, up 38.8% to about 517,000 metric tons, nearly 24% lower than December levels. The palace is moving on key economic and governance reforms. Palace Press Secretary Claire Castro confirms that President Jr. approved 21 priority bills from the Legislative Executive Development Advisory Council set for passage this June.
Sa naganap na LEDAC meeting kaninang umaga, binigyang Pangulong Marcos Jr. ang 21 priority legislations na makakatulong na maiangat ang pamumuhay ng taumbayan. Kabilang sa mga prioridad ng Pangulo na maipasa sa Hunyo ng ang mga sumusunod: travel tax abolition, expanded anti-online sexual abuse or exploitation of children and Anti-Child Sexual Abuse or Exploitation Materials Act of 2026. Fake news and digital disinformation na layuning isararin ang pintuan ng mga gumagawa ng iba't ibang online crimes at bomb elections. Inuna rin ng Pangulo na kamustahin ang update hinggil sa anti-political dynasty dahil ito ang nais ng Pangulo at ng taumbayan na maisabatas sa lalong madaling panahon.
Castro also highlights the Senate's public consultation on the political dynasty ban, with Senator Risa Ontiveros kicking off sessions in Pasig City, while House Speaker Boji D. III intends to begin consultations nationwide. On tourism, the palace emphasizes the president's focus on growth, pushing for abolition of the travel tax to boost both leisure travel and day-to-day tourism activity. British firm Waggle Corporation's exploration and permit in Dupax del Norte in Nueva Vizcaya has been suspended. Senator Erwin Tulfo says the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Mines and Geosciences Bureau confirmed the temporary suspension effective immediately. Residents and environmental advocates protested Woggle Corporation's operations, putting up barricades. Police arrested and later released the protesters. Senator Kiko Pangilinan has called for a Senate investigation into the mining dispute. The Makabayan bloc had also previously pushed for a House probe into Woggle's mining activities. The local government of Camalig in Albay province assures the public that all tourist destinations in the town are safe despite the ongoing unrest of Mayon volcano. Camalig Mayor Carlos Baldo Jr. clarifies that all local attractions are outside the 6-kilometer permanent danger zone. He added that precautionary measures are being strictly implemented to ensure safety. He reminds both visitors and residents to wear face masks outdoors or in areas affected by ashfall. When local rules meet political power, even a quiet village street can turn into a flashpoint. A viral video shows former Senator Cynthia Villar in a heated confrontation during the Monday morning rush near her home at BF Resort Village in Las Piñas City. Villar is seen clashing with subdivision security personnel over a new traffic management plan designed to ease congestion near Elizabeth Seton School, even threatening legal action against those enforcing the scheme. Last week, the BF Resort Village Homeowners Association launched a dry run of traffic adjustments aimed at decongesting roads and improving vehicle flow during peak school hours. But upon full implementation, the Villar camp allegedly interfered with security personnel, triggering heavier congestion during the morning rush. The incident stems from a long-running dispute between Villar and Homeowners Association President Yuan Toralballa against highlighting how questions of authority, enforcement, and influence can spill into public view, even inside private communities. And we'll take a short break. This is Business Brief. Markets are sending mixed signals. Gold is moving, silver is stirring, and crypto is volatile and loud. Stocks look steady, but investors are uneasy. The question isn't where prices go next, it's how to read the market when everything seems to move at once. That's what we're talking about today, and joining us this afternoon is Tony Arbosa, founder of Trading Apprentice Philippines and CEO and president of Amalgamated Development Corporation. He is a market practitioner, trading educator, and business leader with experience across multiple market cycles. And today we tap into his perspective on gold, silver, crypto, and stocks from the trader's point of view. Good afternoon, Tony.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Nice to be here again.
Thanks for joining us. Now,
Yes.
Tony, let's start with this. Now, when gold and silver, crypto, and stocks are all moving at the same time, what's the first thing that you look at to decide whether this is an opportunity or danger?
Yeah, actually, they're moving in a way, but one is moving ahead of the other. So it's very interesting for us traders. And I think my comment on this one is very important to understand the geopolitics, what's happening in the world, what's also happening with Trump. You know, I always say, you remember when I came out in the first show, I said, you know, the job is not to dislike Trump or to like Trump. You have to figure out what Trump is trying to do. No? So very big now is what we call the fiat debasement trade. Okay, basically, the smart money in the States are moving to gold and silver first. They're not moving to crypto. Crypto hasn't, you know, Bitcoin actually collapsed to 69,000, right? What's happening now is the smart money is predicting that Trump will debase the US dollar, also because it has 38 trillion in debt. They have to print 1.3 trillion just to service the debt, right? So America is already at that point that it's very hard for them to, so they have to move certain assets that can be sort of, I said before, multi-baggers, where they can make money, gold, silver. Trump just signed the Strategic Mineral Reserve, which means that silver is one of them, maybe copper. So everybody now is positioning on minerals, and maybe that's the reason why he wants Greenland, diba? So very important now is to figure out what Trump is trying to do. And as you all know, he he came into Venezuela, which is the number one supplier of oil to China. He's now going after Iran. He has Iraq. No? So the next world is going to be about oil, about gold, about silver, about having commodities. So that's moving first. As Trump succeeds in debasing the US dollar, and that's what we call the fiat debasement. Now you say, Tony, why is Trump going to debase the US dollar? It makes no sense. Secretary Bessent just said, Trump wants a weaker dollar. You know why? Because he wants to compete with China. So he tried to onshore everybody, NVIDIA, Apple, you have to come to the States. You know, he sort of held them by the collar, brought them to the White House. You all do your factories here in the States, because he will export to Venezuela, to Iraq, to Iran, right? So he's going to export to Vietnam, to the Philippines. So basically what he wants to do is no tariffs, U.S. goods, and then he will lower the U.S. dollar. So maybe, you know, that for territory that you bought 1.4 million, if the U.S. gets debased, and plus zero tariffs for U.S. goods, maybe that will be a lot less. Maybe it'll be under a million.
Much lower.
So it's very obvious to us. Now, he also said, I want to be the crypto president, right? So when you get to a fiat debasement trade, meaning to say gold and silver is like the first wave, the first parang Marines, you know, they're the first assault on the US dollar. People now start losing faith on the US dollar, and they should, because it's, you know, you don't need US dollar to buy oil anymore. The Saudis did not renew the petrodollar treaty a year ago. So what happens now is people will run to anything but the dollar that is not linked to the dollar, like T-bills or bonds or savings account. What they will do is they will move to crypto, because crypto, while it's denominated in dollars, like Bitcoin, it actually is a hedge against a collapsing dollar. In fact, in the past, gold, silver, Bitcoin took off because the dollar was weak.
That's where they run to when that happens.
Yeah, so I sort of see how all of this is unfolding. So now it's first gold and silver. Gold and silver is also because, like I said in the last, when I was here in your show, you don't need the dollar anymore to buy oil, right? The U.S. got off the gold standard in 1971, that's Nixon. Before, your dollar, which is, it was backed by gold and silver. You can actually surrender your dollar to the Fed and they give you gold. Or they give you silver. They got off the gold standard. So the dollar became fiat. It became unbacked
For the benefit of our viewers, Tony, can you explain a little bit outside the technical part of what fiat is?
Fiat is just basically paper currency that stands on the weight of the government issuing it, saying, you know, you trust us because we're sovereign or we have enough aircraft carriers. That's basically what it is, right? But there's no promise that it will do well, right? And all fiat experiments actually have not done well. They've all collapsed because fiat gets overextended, politicians get greedy, they overissue. You know, for example, if Japan is now buying back their debt, and U.S. also, the Federal Reserve Bank is buying back debt to the repurchase. In other words, nobody wants to hold their debt anymore because, like I said, they all have ballooning, you know, ballooning debts. It's happening everywhere. This is not a case where it's just the emerging markets like in the 1980s. This is actually the big boys like Japan,
It's
UK.
basically trying to race to get a better economy in the future, right?
Yeah,
if
but
you raise debt.
but they're printing money. But here's the thing: the BRICS, China, Russia, and even Japan, they don't want the U.S. debt anymore. They don't want the fiat. They rather hold gold and silver. So in the past, gold and silver, you know, your central bank, you have your balance sheet, you have gold, you have silver. But, I have to have U.S. dollar. And, you know, the central banks will make yabang. I have 3 months ability to import oil, di ba? You know, because of the dollar. Now, you don't need that anymore. And so, if you don't need the US dollar, then you might as well have gold and silver. And silver's gotten very big because now it's come out, there's considerable suppression of silver markets by the old guards, by the banks, by the Federal Reserve, funding JP Morgan. Now, why is that? If they keep silver suppressed, and which has happened in the past 50 years pala, this is now all over Twitter, and they keep gold suppressed, the central banks will say, gold is not moving, inflation's beating it. Silver, you know, inflation's beating it. Why would we hold that? And we can own 5% T-bills, US T-bills, and you can own dollars, right? But what's happened in the past 2 years? Gold from 2,000 is now 5,000.
Yes.
Gold has outperformed even the S&P. Gold has outperformed NVIDIA and Apple. You know, about a year ago, that 4 top
You
market
think
cap.
everybody's going back into more tangible
Well,
assets?
not
than
only,
that?
but like a year ago, gold, the top assets in market cap was gold, Nvidia, Apple, and silver. Now silver is number 2. So the first 2 is metals, which again, maybe the sort of the opposite of the word fiat is metals or commodities or something tangible. Like you said, I love that word. No? So fiat is not tangible, it's paper.
Yes.
It's toilet paper, and now the world is sort of waking up to what's tangible. Now,
But having said that, Tony, what do you think the market is trying to protect itself from with what's happening not only locally but also on the global scene?
well, okay, first, if you talk about the PSE, the local market, the probably local, people ask me, Tony, how come the market seems dead?
Yes.
It's very simple. All the hedge funds, the 60%, 50% of the PSE, where are they? They're buying gold and silver, right? They're not, but we don't have the gold and silver stocks here, so we have a few, but they're not really of that same quality, diba? So they rather play gold and silver first, rather than go back to emerging markets. So that's sort of the route. They're doing gold and silver first, then they will do crypto. Bitcoin will take off. And later, when the US dollar is debased, you know, PSE and emerging markets do better. Diba? With the weak dollar, you know that. No?
Yes.
So my sequence is gold and silver now. You just have to let it ride. You try to get as much gold and silver as you can, because I think this will take time, maybe another year. And then crypto will take off. And then later, when US debases currency significantly, I think the PSE will take off. So maybe a year from now, PSE would look good.
Now, talking about gold and silver, Tony, gold is again rallying. Is it really about inflation, or is it more about trust in what you mentioned, fiat and the system itself?
It's you made a good question. It's a good question. The way I would answer that sensitively, because this is sort of tricky, is what makes Billionario special? Why am I back here in Billionario? Everybody watches Billionario, correct? Why? Because you're alternative news. Right? Mainstream media, like alternative news, you go to Facebook, all this, everybody's talking about the ghost projects. Diba? Those guys should go to prison and so on. But when you look at mainstream print, they hardly talk about the ghost projects. It's similar what's happening with the old guards. Meaning to say, the old guards that want to protect the petrodollar, when you watch their mainstream channels, and which they control, Vanguard, these are all part of the British Empire and that whole City of London thing, right? They will not say, they're going to say, gold because of geopolitics. They're not going to go to the nuts and bolts, which is, the fiat, because of, they keep printing it. Japan is overprinting, Japan debt, 90% is held by Japanese insurance companies, banks.
Is that dangerous?
Because nobody wants their debt anymore. China doesn't want U.S. debt. They're selling U.S. Treasury already. So you're having a situation where we're going to a multipolar world where each one is just trying to buy his own debt. Unlike before, Japan would buy U.S. debt, China will buy U.S. debt. So U.S. can start. Now China already said, and it's all over Twitter, we don't sell the U.S. Treasuries. So it's like a monetary war also going on, diba? So how do we survive? For me, very simple. Buy gold, because gold is everywhere. So if you have gold, silver, you'll be okay. And I think if you listen to the smart guys, they're saying gold can go really high, and also silver.
And silver. Well, gold has been rising, and next to that is silver. Do you see it, silver rising late, or is it going to explode? And from your experience, how do you tell a real silver move from a trap?
Okay, it's a very good question. First, gold, every gold that you see here with the central banks, everything, were mined 1,500, 200, 100 years ago. Every silver you see here, half was already gone, because silver is consumed.
Yes.
That's the difference between gold and silver. Silver is consumed by hypersonic missiles, by EV batteries, right, and by solar panels, right? And now AI is going to use a lot of silver, because silver is the best conductor of electricity. Copper is a good conductor, but it's cheaper. Diba? So actually, copper is also a good buy now. A lot of my followers we're buying copper.
Do you ever see silver surpassing gold?
No, but the way we talk about silver and gold is there's a gold to silver ratio. In the past, from the time of the Romans, silver is 2 times cheaper than gold, or 7 times cheaper than gold. When I was here the last time, silver was 100 times cheaper than gold. So that's a GSR. We call it the gold silver ratio. That's not sustainable. And I said, that's the time to buy silver. Now it's down to 50. 63, 65 going to 50. For me, when it goes to 50, 40, 30, I would be selling my silver, which I bought cheaper, and try to convert it to gold. Because that's sort of the pendulum.
But you mentioned that like the difference between gold and silver is that gold, when you buy gold, you keep it as an asset. But now silver is not only used as an asset, but it's also being used in manufacturing, in technology, in AI, and systems.
Yeah, so even, in fact, they say in the digital economy of the future, silver is going to be like gold. So there are people saying silver will outdo gold. So imagine this, like when I was having my bazaar last year, by the way, I want to invite people to our bazaar on February 21 in Club Filipino, starting at 11 o'clock. You can buy gold and silver coins there. 999.9 fine silver. So silver was 2,000, a coin, a gold coin, and a silver coin. A gold coin at that time was 150,000 pesos.
Yes.
A silver coin, same 1 ounce, was 2,600. Now, that silver coin is 10,000.
So the growth is
in
much,
about a year.
much faster.
In about a year, yeah. So I had OFWs who bought, a tube. A tube is 20 to 25 pieces of, let's say, Queen Elizabeth or American Eagle. We would buy 52,000 pesos. Now it's 200,000 pesos.
So silver grew like about 5x and gold grew about 2x.
Yeah. Even now, if let's say some people are saying gold can go to 10,000, so from 5,000 to 10, it's another 2x. Right? But silver at 100 can go to 500. This guy, Malik Oliver, said that. There's another guy, I forgot his name. These are all old, they're really old guys. They've been waiting for this bull run for 20 years. It's kind of funny. They're all white hair. And
so I guess that's something we really have to look at in the next couple of months or years.
Yes.
But Tony, in a world obsessed with digital assets, now, why do gold and silver still matter in trading today as a trader?
No. So first, if you talk to the Bitcoiners, they keep bashing gold. You can't
and the other way around.
Yeah, if you have to leave the country and there's a coup d'etat or something, and you're going to be stopped in the airport, so gold is useless, right? But I think the best portfolio, as Kiyosaki would also say, is just diversify.
Yes.
Have some metals, have a gold and silver. I just want to say this: gold failed in Argentina in 2001 when they had the fiat crisis. And they couldn't use their currency. Gold, if you had 24 karat gold and you're out of the city, they'll appraise it at 16 karat. Because the problem with gold is you need an assay. Let's say if we have to trade, I want to buy your farm. You need an assay. If you're out of Buenos Aires, they couldn't find the right assay. So somebody was desperate to give you gold. You say, okay, I'll buy your gold. Value it at 18 karat, even though he claims it's 24 karat. So gold is very imperfect compared to Bitcoin. That's why I say, once the fiat debasement days happen,
because there's a lot of levels, right? You have 10 karat, 11 karat, and all that.
So I'm saying gold and silver is like an impulse, schmuck insurance. Buy as much insurance because the fiat is going to collapse. But at some point, the smart money, the young kids, the Gen Z, will move towards crypto. So I'm very bullish on crypto. And even Trump said, I'm going to be a crypto president, and then his family has 2.8 billion in crypto. So why will Trump put 2.8 billion in crypto if he's going to allow it to collapse, di ba?
So that's a good point. Now, Tony, let's still continue talking about crypto. Now, when Bitcoin starts running, how do you personally judge whether it's conviction or just leverage chasing momentum?
Well, in Bitcoin, there is leverage chasing momentum. That's Michael Saylor, MSTR, di ba? The way first of all, I got my followers to buy Bitcoin $3,000. I'm not buying Bitcoin anymore. I'm buying, I think the next Bitcoin is Cardano XRP. So for me, the way to do
too
that
high
is...
na, no?
Pag too high na, don't buy the gold, which is 150,000 pesos last year. Buy the silver, 2,600 pesos, and now it's 10,000. You get a bigger kick. And maybe the smarter is to buy some copper, di ba? So what I'm saying is, if you're a little late, if you're late, then go for alternatives. So for me, XRP, I like it's called the ISO 202 coins, XRP, XLM, HBAR. They might run the next SWIFT system of the world.
Because we saw a lot of growth in XRP.
So I think I'm very bullish on XRP. And XRP runs better than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is slow,
But people like to call Bitcoin as digital gold. Now, in moments of real market stress, does it actually behave like gold?
Now, people are saying it's not moving. Like now that we have a fiat debasement, there's geopolitics, Venezuela, Iran war, gold is moving, silver. What's happening to Bitcoin? So now people are saying, Bitcoin's dead because it's not providing
moving.
that hedge. Yeah. But I think people are a little too early. Sometimes in trading, you have to be very patient. Just give it time to, develop, the narratives develop. Look, also, when people are panicking, look, central banks first are buying gold and silver because they realize I have too much US dollar, USD, I'm selling that. China is buying tons of gold and silver. That's also pushing the price up. So then everybody chases gold and silver, di ba? Once that kind of peaks, like like buying blue chips, di ba? Ayala, Meralco, PLDT, they take off first, di ba?
Yes.
But because of that bull run, what happens next? Mega World and all the other DG Plus will take off. So parang the way I look at it is the crypto now is more like second ladder. There's smaller market cap. The big cap is gold. Silver is a smaller market cap. So the way you have to sort of like be a PSE trader, di ba? Don't go for the blue chip all the time. Sometimes you go for the second liners.
Yeah.
And later you go to the third liners or what they call the basura, di ba?
Well, you have to know how to read between the lines outside of the noise. Now, but Tony, what's the most common mistake that you see among ordinary traders making during crypto rallies?
No, okay, crypto kasi, there are cryptos you just buy for hold. You hold it forever, like Bitcoin. And then, of course, the new ones, like the meme coins, you ride the momentum and you try to sell it so you can convert it to Bitcoin. So there's a little bit of, there are crypto you want multi-cycle. Like there's a 4-year cycle in Bitcoin and like that. So Bitcoin, you want to hold it forever. Maybe XRP, Cardano is, if you really believe in them, those are core holdings. So you want to hold it long term, di ba? And then you want to make a killing on the meme coins like Shiba Inu, all this. When you have a full-blown parabolic bull phase and try to convert it to as much Bitcoin or stable coin in a way. So it takes time to sort of master that.
Now, in the world of crypto, do you see it maybe a danger of making a mistake like what happened to NFTs?
Okay, first NFTs.
The non-fungible token.
Yeah, NFTs really are more, has always been peripheral to the crypto.
Because they're both non-tangible assets.
Yeah. So that's okay. They're just a little bit, for me, peripheral and emotional. Let me also say this because for your audience, I don't know if you have time, no? When you talk of Bitcoin, XRP, Cardano, these protocols, you're really buying a piece of the network.
Yes.
Right? Remember, in the PSE, I can be a broker.
Yes.
And so I get a piece of all the velocity that moves. People sell San Miguel, I get a piece of that. But I put, 100, 200 million to be a broker. Now you buy Cardano, XRP, you are a part PSE broker. Anything that's sold on that network, on that rails, on the Cardano rails or XP rails, whether it's NFT later, whether it's meme coins later, you get gas, you pay gas, and you get a share of that. So if you get 5 or 10% or 3% of Cardano, when it's cheap, like it's 1 cent, it takes off. You're like a PSE broker in that rails. So for me, you have to have a very long-term perspective when it comes to crypto. Crypto is decentralized.
And patience.
Yeah. You don't need to be like, in the PSE, you have to apply all this. You just buy Cardano and anything sold on that Cardano network, NFT, meme coins, what have you, stable coin, you will get a cut. You'll get reward.
Now, let's look at the local stocks, Tony. Here in the Philippines, stocks haven't collapsed, but many investors are uneasy. They're on a wait-and-see look. Now, as far as a trader and business leader, do you see stability or something being artificially held up?
No, okay, my first warning, do not buy the blue chips. Because the blue chips depend on a lot of foreign buying, and the foreign buyers are not there. The foreigners are buying gold and silver now, and they're buying Bitcoin ETFs. So there are, however, interesting, I like DG Plus, I like some of the second liners who just cater to the local market. They're not really swamped with a lot of foreign investors. But if you look at the blue chips, they have too much foreign buying there, foreign investors. I wouldn't touch them for now because the foreigners, the hedge funds and all this, they're focused on gold, silver, Bitcoin, on the fiat debasement trade.
But what would be your advice to those who already invested in blue chip stocks? And, some would argue, why not invest in blue chip stocks? They're a little bit more stable.
If you want stability, you can get it, but you get a smaller return. Diba? That's why if you buy gold now, you buy at 5,000, goes to 10,000, you make 2x. By the way, talking about gold,
I guess it depends on an investor's risk appetite.
But if gold is offering you 2x, you buy at 5,000, goes to 10. Which blue chip can offer you 2x? right? So, and then it's denominated in dollars. So, peso is depreciating now. It's where it could be at 60. Or it could, ano, diba? So you have a foreign exchange risk. Why will you own blue chips? Now, sorry,
So hold muna.
I'm just talking as a trader. I'd rather own gold, diba? Let's say 8,000 gold. That's still 50% or 100%.
Now, having said that, Tony, now what would be your advice now to our economic managers on how to make the local stock market more bullish?
First, for the economic managers, the Philippines sold 15% of our gold in 2004.
Yes.
2004, 2005, 2005, 2004. I wish they bought back. Because, or else, if they didn't buy back that 15%, it's very hard to buy it back later. And gold is not going to stop. It's going to go higher. Remember, Trump also said this. Remember, if you just listen to Trump, Trump said, he who has the gold rules. Right? He said
the
that,
gold
right?
standard, yes.
Yeah, he who has the gold rules. So he said that early. He said, I want to be the crypto president. Take your cue from there. Parang flow, go with that flow. And preferably, don't listen to mainstream media. You know, there was a big dump. The Epstein files were dumped last week. Did you know that? It's all over Twitter.
Yes,
so
yes.
when you go to Twitter, everybody is talking about the Epstein file. This guy should go to jail. You know, this guy, I can't believe these people did this and all this. But ABC, CNBC, and CBS, Bloomberg, Washington Post, New York Post, none of them talked about the Epstein files. It's like in the Philippine situation, you go to Billionaire, to Facebook, everyone's talking about the Gross Project. Then you go to the mainstream TV and newspapers, there's like one like that on the Ghost Project, right? So that's why people are not making smart decisions. But if they're following mainstream media, that good luck to them. I told my followers, you cannot follow mainstream media. If you're going to be a top trader, you have to do your own research and do your own, but you cannot follow mainstream media. Because mainstream media, they will not give you the real story. They'll say gold is flying because of geopolitics, right? Gold is flying because of fear on that tree at the basement. That's lurking. Thank you.
Now, Tony, you talk about capital rotation. Right now, where do you see money quietly leaving, and where is it quietly going?
You mean pesos or dollars?
Both.
Like I said, it's all going to gold and silver. The central banks are massively buying. The smart money now are buying silver because America woke up when China bought all the silver. By the way, China is the #1 miner and #1 country that has silver. So, and you know what? They went to Latin America and bought all the silver that's unmined from Mexico and all this. They massively got silver. Trump will have to go to Greenland to find silver somewhere else, right? So there's a war going on the metals. That should tell you something, di ba? Parang when every country is now trying to hoard, it's going to push the price up. Now, so I think metals is very important 2026.
2026, okay. Now, Tony, finally, if someone watching today wants to survive markets for the next, let's say, 10 to 20 years, not just the next trade, what mindset matters more than any strategy that you've given?
Who said this? Jesse Livermore, my favorite mentor. Money is in the sitting. You have to be able to sit on it. And then if this one is not flying, PSE is not flying, you have to focus on the one that's flying. So if, let's say, you bought 5 things, these 2 collapse, this one is so-so, these 2 are going up. In 2-3 months, all your money must be on these 2 that's moving. That's called momentum buying. So a trader that doesn't just buy and closes his eyes. He looks at what's moving. So put it this way for all the young kids. Very simple. You can make legal 5 girls. This one is not paying attention to you. This one is texting another guy. This one is, not making pasin. But who do you love? You love the one that loves you back.
Yes.
So if this girl you're making legal is the one responding to you, making you happy, making you smile, then you go all in on her, right? Not forget the others, right? The same thing with stocks. If this stock is not loving you back, why will you lose sleep over that, di ba? Move
so the
on.
one loving you back right now, you think is gold?
Gold and silver is loving me back. Bitcoin is not, but I bought it at 3,000, so I don't care. It's sort of like that. So you also have to have a very long-term horizon. But I saw this happening. I saw a situation where fiat will overextend itself. And I think we're at that point where it's happening. So protect yourselves, own some metals.
Okay, on that note, Tony, thank you very much for sharing your insights, and we learned a lot. Hopefully our viewers will learn where to put their money right now. And you said, who's loving you back? Gold?
Who loves you back, then you put money there.
Okay, thank you very much, Tony. Okay, we'll continue after the break. This is Business Brief. More than 10,000 striking nurses in New York have reached a deal with Montefiore and Mount Sinai hospital groups, securing salary increases of more than 12% over 3 years and protections against the use of AI, as well as for trans and immigrant nurses and patients. The nurses on strike since January 12 will vote on ratifying the deal and return to work this week, while 4,200 New York Presbyterian nurses remain on the picket line. The association said it was the largest nurse strike in New York City's history, with members holding the line for 4 weeks in cold and snow to ensure safe patient care. Saudi Arabia's $925 billion public investment fund is set to announce a new 5-year strategy, marking the biggest reset yet of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's Vision 2030 Economic Transformation Plan. The fund will focus on industry, minerals, artificial intelligence, tourism, and clean energy, while scaling back or reconfiguring expensive mega projects like the line and other futuristic developments. The strategy also seeks to attract capital from global asset managers amid fiscal pressures, reflecting challenges as oil prices remain below levels needed to fund the kingdom's ambitious agenda. Sources familiar with the matter said NEOM and related projects will shift focus from tourism and futuristic urban design to industrial development, renewable energy, and data centers. Britain's Prince William has begun a 3-day official visit to Saudi Arabia, meeting Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to deepen ties between the two countries. The trip follows a 2025 visit by Britain's finance minister, which unlocked trade and investment deals worth £6.4 billion, or roughly $8.7 billion. During his visit, William will engage with young Saudis and take part in programs on economic reforms, culture, environment, sustainability, and women's sports. He is also expected to travel to Alula, visit wildlife reserves, meet local communities, and tour Prince of Wales House, a new UK cultural space promoting arts and heritage cooperation. Europe must prepare to play a greater role in global finance as the dollar retreats. That's according to European Central Bank's Martin Kosher, as he called for a stronger financial architecture boost to the euro's market share. The ECB recently unveiled plans to widen access to its euro liquidity backstop and will provide EU leaders with a checklist of tasks to strengthen the euro's international standing. The euro has appreciated 14% against the dollar over the past year, becoming more of a safe haven currency amid weakened trust in the U.S. and European defense and infrastructure spending. Kosher said Europe must be ready for a greater global role through repos, swaps, and other financial tools, while the ECB maintains a steady-hand monetary policy. Asian shares are mostly higher as Japan's benchmark topped new highs after a historic election win for the nation's first female prime minister. S&P, ASX All Ordinaries, FTSE Bursa, Malaysia KLCI, Hang Seng, JSX Composite, Nikkei 225, Thailand SET, Shanghai Composite, and BSE Sensex trade higher, while HNX 30 and KSE 100 trade lower. In currency markets, the US dollar trades at 155.35 against the Japanese yen, 781 against the Hong Kong dollar, 126 against the Singapore dollar, 1458 against the South Korean won, and 31.17 against the Thai baht, while the Australian dollar trades 70 cents against the greenback. And in commodities, gold prices are down by 0.4% but holds above 500 level, 50 level on softer dollar, while investors brace for U.S. economic data. On the other hand, oil prices are mixed. In crypto markets, Bitcoin drops over 2%, while Ethereum losses almost 4%. Trial for the big tech begins with Meta and Google accused of shaping social media to fuel a youth mental health crisis. A landmark case which could establish a legal precedent opens in Los Angeles, where plaintiffs say Meta and YouTube engineered addiction by design. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg is expected to testify next week, with Instagram head Adam Mosseri also set to appear. The plaintiffs argue that social media uses linked to depression, eating disorders, and other harms among minors. Snapchat and TikTok were also named but settled ahead of trial. Meta and YouTube have strongly denied the claim, saying they invest in safety tools and protections for young users. Philippine shares end in the positive territory in the second trading day of the week. The PSCI closes almost 2% higher to 64.74. All the sectoral indices are in the green, with services rising the most at over 4%. Advancers outpaced decliners 110 to 90, with value turnover at 6.9 billion pesos. Among the day's most active stocks, only SM's Investments Corporation ends in the negative territory, with ICTSI rising the most at over 6%. And in currencies, the peso closes at 58.53 against the US dollar, down from the previous close of 58.455. The Philippines logs a 13.4% suspected digital fraud rate, above the global average, as scammers shift from SMS schemes to phishing and online payment attacks. Visa noted that fraud targets include e-commerce transactions, real-time payments, and account takeovers, with a 41% increase in ransomware incidents in the first half of 2025. The company expanded its Visa scam disruption program using AI detection and ecosystem partnerships to stop scams earlier. Visa also highlighted the Philippines' 2024 Anti-Financial Account Scamming Act, which strengthened real-time detection, phased out one-time passwords for high-risk transactions, and enabled faster intelligence sharing. Macro Asia Corporation, the aviation services group controlled by ultra-billionario Lucio Tan, has signed a long-term lease for a prime 2.7-hectare property in the Mactan Cebu International Airport cargo area. The property, leased through Macro Asia Properties Development, will be used for aviation-related services, with an initial 15-year term renewable for an additional 10 years. Macro Asia has long operated in Cebu, providing ground handling, catering, and aviation support services at the airport, capitalizing on the city's role as the Philippines' second-largest aviation hub. The new lease strengthens Macro Asia's logistics and support footprint, aligning with growing passenger and cargo traffic in the region. Two Jollibee insiders make opposite moves this January amid the company's overseas reset plans. Director Antonio Chua Poeng sold 602,510 shares worth around 124 to 129 million pesos, reducing his stake to 2.1%. Treasurer Don Alexander Lim bought 121,470 shares worth about 24 to 25 million pesos, increasing his holdings to less than 0.1%. The trades coincided with Jollibee's plan to spin off its loss-making international restaurants and target a U.S. listing by 2027 to boost global expansion. Foreign direct investment net inflows fall to $7.1 billion from January to November 2025. Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas data show this is down from $9.1 billion during the same period in 2024. The BSP said equity capital inflows came mainly from Japan, the United States, Singapore, and South Korea, flowing primarily into manufacturing, wholesale, and retail trade and real estate. And that's a wrap for today's Business Brief. I'm Robert Tan. Join us again tomorrow that help you plan your next big, bold business move. Only here on BNC, the Billionaire News Channel.